Okay, so we are on week 2. I always do 2 with 2, and then I kind of feel like that's 4, but whatever. We are on week 2. I actually kind of have 2 different topics tonight because the first one's kind of short, and then the second one's a lot longer. Both of these we're gonna go over them obviously in detail, but I also want you to take them and brainstorm for yourself, okay? And that'll make more sense once we get into it. But I say brainstorm on your own as well, because I think we all kind of have a different culture of our team. We're all different styles of leaders. So the things that work for one person might not work for another person. So we'll share on this call. I will probably ask you guys to share in the chat with some different ideas based on the topic that we're talking about. But I also want you to brainstorm on your own. And then we might share those in like the chat or something if you guys are open to that. But otherwise, I'm just going to give you some stuff that I hope that you think about. Does that make sense? So last week, what we talked about was expectation and knowing the game that we're in. And so what I mean by that is we talked about how 98% of your team, and this is like industry statistics. This is literally based on like research in the industry. 98% of your team are what we're going to call tourists, okay? Tourists meaning they're either here super casually for the discount or they're just here for fun, but they're not here to like build an empire and change their life. Literally 98%, statistically, not SeneGence, but just like across network marketing, 98% of people join because like, meh, sure, why not? Like, sure, that sounds fun. Like, meh, whatever. And so they can also be like your good soldiers, and they can't that like show up to Zooms. I have a lot of girls who show up to Zooms who, you know, don't really do a lot with their business, but they like the culture. Okay. They might even participate in the challenges. So these are still good, like business builders, but they're probably not going to build an empire. They're just like your average distributor or casual distributor. And that's okay. That's 98% of your team. And so 98% of your team is going to bring in about 30% of your volume. And then the top 2% of distributors on your team are going to bring in 70% of your volume. They drive the machine of your team. Okay. And so when we're talking about 98% versus 2%, obviously we're not talking about personal sales. Last week, I embarrassed her a little bit, but I'm going to call her out again just because we talked about it last week. So it's on the top of my mind. But like we're talking about, like on my team, Erica Pierce, her team has done almost $800,000. Okay. And so my team's at 2 million and hers is at 800,000. So one person is making up half of my GSV right now. So that's what we're talking about. When we're talking about top 2%, we're talking about someone who's really driving, like they're driving their own team. They're doing their own thing. Like those are the drivers. Okay. So your top 2% are going to be your drivers. And then 98% are just like your very casual discount or your good soldiers. Okay. And the reason that we talk about that last week is so that we don't get like super down on ourselves when not every single person runs at our pace. Like we have to understand the game that we're in. The game that we're in is that only 2% of people probably want to actually build like an empire, like what we talk about, you know? And so 98% of your team just wants to have fun. And if you realize that from the beginning, it helps you to set that expectation. And we're going to expand on all of that tonight. Okay. But another thing with this 98 versus 2 is to not underestimate how much gold you have in your current team. People get, again, so focused on the fact that there's only 1 or 2 people on their team that are doing just phenomenally well, that they look for more people that are like those 1 or 2 people. When you have gold in that 98%, you just have to understand how to work with them and to set your own expectation for their level. Does that make sense? So again, we're going to expand on all of this tonight. So one of the things that I really want you to maybe write, you might want to write this down because this is a big one. And if you really take this to heart, this is huge. 74% of people will stay if they can earn even $1. $1. If you can help people earn $1, 74% of them will stay for 90 days. Okay. And so help them earn $1, they'll stay for 90 days. So when you take that and you make that goal, doesn't it like kind of, it's like, oh, we have all of these big ideas of launching and fast starts and helping them rank and helping them do all these things. And it's like, first, can you help them earn $1? Just one. If they can literally get $1 in their bank account, you can keep them for 90 days. And if you can keep them for 90 days, then you can help them with the rest of the stuff. But they're never going to stick and stay if we can't help them just make $1. Okay. So that's kind of what, again, what we're building off of tonight. So the first thing I want to talk to you guys about is, I want to make this my own little sheet. So if you brought a notebook, on this first page, so we're going to do two different things. On this first page, I want you to just you don't have to do the whole page. That might be a little extra. You can, whatever. But I just want you to draw a line down the middle of the page. Just straight down the middle. Okay, we're going to have a line. And what this line is, let me go back to my notes, is on the left side, that's when it's easier to quit. And on the right side is when it's easier to stay. Okay, so our job is to get more people on the line of where it's easier to stay versus easier to quit. So what do you think are some things, and you can drop this into the chat, what do you think are some things that would make it really easy for someone to quit? Whether they just joined or whether they've been around for a really long time, what are some things that make it easy for them to quit? Overwhelm, no support, love it. Slump in sales, negativity, not answering questions, no parties, you don't have time, excessive return of product. Exactly. So again, you guys are going to brainstorm these, right? This is why I told you to bring paper. Going live, no. I disagree. Lack of engagement in their group, not having fun. How about if they don't use the products? It's pretty easy to quit if you don't even use the products, huh? It's a really easy one. What about if they haven't made any friends on the team at all? They say, you tell them that they're joining a team that has great culture and great sisterhood, and then they join and nobody talks to them. They have no friends. Pretty easy to quit. Upline leaves, not having fun anymore, too much work. And of course, if they're not making any money, if they're not using the products, they haven't made any friends, and they're not making any money at all, if they're overwhelmed, there's no recognition, it's pretty easy to quit, right? So let's flip that and say, what makes it easier to stay? Name some ideas in the chat that would make it easier for them to stay. Community, support, praise, making money, of course. Engagement, yep. Loving the products, yes. Achievement. Addiction to the products, that's how I feel, you guys. Recognition. How about rank advancing? So hitting a rank makes it easier to stay. Making a friend, making money, earning a trip. Results from the products, that's powerful. The results from the products is powerful. Friends, yes, friends. How about if they attend an event? If they get a new customer, like a brand new customer? Is anyone else like I'm 4.5 years in. If I get a brand new customer, I'm like, what? That's amazing. Getting a brand new customer is so good. Group of customers who love the products, telling friends and family about their business publicly. Gifts from Morgan out of the blue. Family approval, love it. How about if they get a new distributor? If they get even one new distributor, right? Easier to stay for sure. If they have seen personal growth. So even if it's not to do with business, hello, like shining example here, like even just the personal growth that I felt has made it easier to stay. Friends, easier to stay. Having successful parties, love it. You guys are so good at this. Having fun, even just if they think it's fun, it's easier to stay, right? And so when you can help them have one small win, this doesn't even have to be money, okay? If you can help them get a new distributor, a new customer, have a successful party, make a new friend, or attend an event, or if they rank, or if they win an award of some sort, they are likely to stay for 90 days. And so when I first learned this, he was basically saying to think of your business as a 90-day business, because if you can get your team one small win every 90 days, they will stick. But you have to help them get one small win. We focus on these really big wins. We want people to rank. We want people to earn recognition, like Ruby Senna sales and all of these big things. But it's like, if you can help them get one new customer, they'll probably stay for 90 days, because one new customer is huge. So all we need to help them do is get one small thing. And I have like a disclaimer. I'm not saying that you only help them get one small thing. That's not what I'm saying. Or like that you send them a gift every 90 days. That's not what I'm saying. But I'm saying that it helps them stick for 90 days. And so when you can help them stick for 90 days, within that 90 days, they're going to grow. It's just a matter of getting them to focus, getting them to remember why they're here, getting them to remember the fun, or find a friend, or find that fire again. Okay. And so when you can get them these small wins, they're going to work a little harder for 90 days because they just had that small win. Does that make sense? And so another thing that Eric Worre said, a lot of this comes from Eric Worre. That's where I get a lot of this stuff. Yes, breaking it down into 90 days instead of one big year goal. Yes, seriously. Being open to learning about marketing and how you can transfer it to other parts of life. Branding is everything for all of your jobs. Love it. So what you want to do is, hold on. I want to kind of talk on this. I wasn't going to touch on this because, like, for my girls, this might not necessarily be relevant, but because we have other people on the call, I want to talk about this. So the way that Eric Worre explains this is that you only really work with the people that are on the easier to stay side. If people are on the easier to quit side, then you want to help them get to the other side before you actually start to like work with them. And I know that's kind of a fine line, but it's like, you want them to stick and stay. You want to know that they're in like a pretty good place to work with them, with the exception being what he calls is if you have a leader who's in a crisis. And so what he means by that is if you have a leader, like a good leader, someone you know is actually really good and really solid, and they are just not using the products, not meeting anyone, not making any money, like all of a sudden they're just in this like really like bad spot mentally, business, whatever, like those people that are like your top leaders, he says, no, like those are the people that you actually like get on the phone, you have a phone call with them. Like if it's just an average distributor and they're kind of like, I don't really know how I feel about this, and they've never really done anything, like let them go. It's fine. Like we talked about last week with the expectation, you have a top 2%, so on and so forth. But like if it's a top level leader, he says, no, like you want to go to them, you want to push them, you want to recognize them, you want to love on them, and you want to get them back over that line if you can, if that's possible. Because a lot of the time they just need like us to see them, especially when they're in that spot. I know I've had a lot of leaders get to that point. And so that's when you have to pull out, like, you guys know me, I'm an S personality, like really pull out that S and just love on them and try to pull them back, and even help your top level leaders get those small wins that are gonna get them back over the line to where they're stable and they're coachable again. Does that make sense? So I don't think I explained that as well as he did, but I wanted to throw that in there that, like, you know, the people that are easier to quit, like it's okay to kind of keep them over there if you've helped them get small wins and they're just not coming over the line. But if it's a top level leader who you know is strong, like give them grace and give them love and try to bring them back over that line. So Regina said you had a downline that their horse died. They were frozen. You personally went to her Messenger and her personal page. She is finally working her business. That's awesome. So that part is just for you to brainstorm. And again, not every lesson is for every person, but that's kind of a really big one for me that stuck with me is like, which side of the line are they on? and how can I help them get a small win to bring them to the other side. And then once they're on that other side, they're coachable and I can give them bigger things. But I'm not going to give them bigger things until I give them one small win that brings them to that side of the line where I know that it's easier for them to stay than it is for them to leave. And another quick thing before we switch to the second topic is with your brand new distributors. This is something I talk to you guys about all the time, so I don't mean to be repetitive, but with your brand new distributors, my number one tip, this is from me personally, this isn't an Eric Corey thing, this is me. My number one tip is to get them plugged into your team or your uplines team, like wherever you are in this business. Get them plugged into a team call, get them plugged into the team page, get them into a team group chat, like get them into something, because again, thinking about them being on the line, like which way are they going to teeter, is if they launch. So if they launch their business and their launch totally flops and they have no friends and they're not connected to the team, it's very easy for them to quit. Super easy. But if someone joins and instantly joins a group chat or instantly gets welcomed on the team page or instantly instantly makes a friend, is instantly added to something, and then her launch flops, but she's made friends, she might jump into the next challenge just for fun. She might copy and paste the drip campaign because there's a giveaway just for fun. She might still chat in the group chat just for fun and happen to get an idea. And so it makes a huge difference on whether they stick and stay just within those first couple of weeks if they get connected to the team, to the culture, to another human in some sort of way. And so I believe in that so strongly. Kelly said your launch flopped and you stayed for the next challenge. Yay. And now you're here and you're ranked. That's amazing. Amanda said, you truly think you have women still working for their business only for the culture? It's entirely true. It's 100% true. Like there are so many people, like Victoria said, the team page welcome is huge. It's like when you get added to a team page and you actually have 20 people comment on it welcoming you, that might be the first time they've ever been welcomed to anything in their life. Like it's powerful. It's incredibly powerful. And so my biggest advice is to actually get them connected to the team and the culture even faster than you get them launched. Like it matters so much for the longevity of the distributor. And I can't even tell you the number of, probably leaders on this call who've been around for years and years, and they're just now having their big breaks. And the reason that they stuck was because of the culture, So this works both with new distributors and long-term distributors, really. Okay, so now we are gonna talk about duplication, which I know is a topic that everybody loves, love hates, which is why I wanted to talk about it tonight. So we are going to talk, I keep putting up my notebook and then I need it again. So now what you're going to do, you're going to open a different page, because again, these are just for you to brainstorm on your own. So on this one, you're going to draw a line and you can choose how long you want this line to be. You could make it a whole page if you want. You're going to draw a line and you're going to draw a 1 at the top and then a 10 at the bottom. It's up to you whether or not you want to fill in the rest of the lines, but the 1 and the 10 is important. Okay. So these are levels of duplication. Levels of duplication is something that is not discussed enough. Okay. So we're going to discuss it tonight. So for some of you who've been here for a long time, you might have at some point said to yourself, if it doesn't duplicate, we can't do it. What's the point of doing something that doesn't duplicate or that doesn't scale? I'm gonna be honest with you, a lot of people, a significant amount of good leaders in this company have told me the things that I do don't duplicate. The things that I do don't scale. And let me tell you that it's true. It is. A lot of the things that I do didn't scale. So I just let them go whenever they stopped scaling. It's not that I just had to hold myself back or that I had to whatever, you pivot. You do it until you can't, and then you don't anymore, and that's okay. And so I do want you to understand that there are levels of duplication. And so if you're flat out saying if it doesn't duplicate, we can't do it, then you are holding back from your team. For example, myself as a human, I'm probably not very duplicatable. I'm insane. I work practically 24/7. Morgan Zambrano doesn't really duplicate, okay? And I know that, but I don't water myself down and hope that if I water myself down, my team is going to do more of what I do. No, I'm going to run at the level that I want to run at, and I'm going to understand that there are different levels of duplication. There are different parts of what I do that are duplicatable, okay? So, for example, how many of you have done like an in-home demo? That's probably a weird question because not a lot of people. Okay, so some of you have done an in-home demo, right? But how many of us would agree? My hand is not up. I have not done an in-home demo. I've done like one in my entire career. Okay, so lots of in-home demos. Perfect. Brittany, I didn't know you were on. Hey, Brittany. So good. Lots of in-home demos. Love in-home demos. Okay, so this call is probably going to have a significant amount of people who do in-home demos because we are leaders. I don't do in-home demos, but that's fine. But that's the point. I wanted you guys to say yes. So how many of you would agree that in-home demos get results? Even I would agree with that. I don't even do in-home demos, and I know for a fact that they get results. I've done like 2, and they've been freaking phenomenal, okay? So in-home demos get results. Now, how hard is it to get your team to do an in-home demo? Probably pretty hard for a lot of us because that's terrifying. I feel like it's terrifying, right? And so it's not that they don't work, and it's not even that they don't duplicate. It's that it's really scary and it's a really big task. And so like 97% of people are going to say, nah, that's just not really my thing. Not really my thing. But it doesn't mean that you don't do in-home demos. You do. You should still do them because they work. But here's the thing is that doesn't mean that we have to like make people feel bad who don't do in-home demos. Okay? And I know none of you have probably made your team feel like that, but I want you to understand is that we're talking about more than in-home demos right now. We're talking about everything. Okay? So if you can believe in in-home demos and you do in-home demos yourself, and you know the in-home demos work, but you know that 97% of your team doesn't do in-home demos, and you're just like, oh yeah, in-home demos are scary. That's okay. You do you. You do online parties. You do whatever. That's how it is with everything. So there's no reason to like yell at what Eric Worre calls the tourist. Remember, we talked about 98% is tourists. There's no reason to yell at the tourists for not doing in-home demos just because they duplicate and they work. You don't have to yell at them or make them feel bad. How would it imagine making 97% of your team feel bad for not doing something, you know? And so it's not a bad, I'm glad light bulbs are going off because I feel like I'm explaining this horribly. But the point is that some of the things that we want to duplicate can duplicate, but they duplicate on a higher level with a higher level person, and that's okay. Are you guys kind of getting the theme of like, I just think that we should just say that it's okay. Basically, no matter what people want to do, it's okay. It's okay. Whatever works for them, it's okay. But there's no reason to make big chunks of your team feel bad for not doing things that we think are super important and we know it works. Like, that's on them. That's totally on them. And that's their choice. Okay. So there are different levels of duplication. So the number 1 that I put is essentially the foundation. That's the core. Anyone who joins your team with no skill, no ability, no money, no anything can do a level 1 activity. Okay. So what is a level 1 activity? Drop something into the chat that's like just level 1, easiest thing that they can do. Copy paste. That's exactly what I put when I did this workshop. Wow video, you would think, but wow videos are actually scary for a lot of people. Post a graphic, pass out books. That's terrifying. Can you see? I'm an introvert. I'm like, no. but that's the point. This is the point. This is a really good conversation. Make a post a selfie. Okay. See, tell their friends and family that they signed up. Okay, so these are things that should be super simple. Anyone can do these things, right? So please remember, these are just industry statistics. Nobody freak out. But like, would you be shocked to know that like 40% of the people on your team probably aren't even using the products? 40%. And maybe like 50% of your customers aren't using the products. Like they buy them and then they go on a counter or they go in the drawer. They might use them for like date night, but like these things aren't being used. So like a level 1 activity, just for example, is just using the products. And so we're talking about a level 1 activity, the lowest level of activity that people can do, and still less than 50% of people are going to do them. And so this goes back to setting that expectation, right? And so Regina said, why did they sign up if they don't love them? Lots of people sign up and free sign up and don't even know what SeneGence is. Trust me, it's possible. So let's go, for example, with a social media post. Okay, so we're just going to use this as an example. So to post something on social media, just copy and paste it and post it. If you were to give that challenge to your team, what percentage of people do you think would actually do it? Like, be real. If you were to say, copy and paste this post it on social media, what percentage do you think would do it? 5%. That's a really good guess. Kelly, you don't math. Victoria, 10%. Kelly, 1%. Exactly. Ashley, I love that you have that percentage because I do too. So Ashley said she tried it this last week and it was 7%. Okay. So I did this last week intentionally. And I put up a post that I asked everybody on my team to do. 100 people did it. We have 1,200 people on my team. 100 is a really good number, but I have 1,200 people on my team. All they had to do was make a post, and less than 10% of people did. So we're talking about a level 1 activity, and less than 10% of people will do it. And so it's not that they can't do it. They can, but it's about having the willpower is a totally different thing, okay? So another level 1 activity is joining a Zoom call. Here's the example. We're on a Zoom call right now. There's 30 people on this call. Do you know how many total people were invited? Probably about 120. And all you had to do was join a Zoom call. Granted, you then think about time and things like that, but joining a Zoom call, just clicking a link and joining and being able to listen is like a level 1, maybe level 2 activity. And we have 30 out of about 120 people on. Okay. So getting people to even do the stage 1 activities, it's not about can they do it? It's about the willpower of getting them to do it. Okay. So another one, like I said, using the product. So we're going to go back to that. So using the product, level 1 activity, very simple, especially now they get the kit with sign up. So all they have to do is apply the products that we know that they have. They have lip sense. They should be able to apply it. And a lot of them won't, or they won't consistently. And if they're not applying their products consistently, you do, it's highly unlikely, right? And so, sorry, it keeps saying that my internet is unstable. So I really hope that I'm coming through. I hope you guys can hear me okay. So basically, I'm getting to a point. I have a point here. Exactly. It's discouraging and comforting. I'm getting to the better part. Okay. I'm telling you all of this because I want everybody to understand the expectation. I want you to understand the game that we're playing, because when you understand the game that you're playing, you can understand how to play it. If you don't know the rules, you can't play the game. And so we're getting so discouraged over people not doing things when that is not the point. You just focus on the people who are, but I'm getting ahead of myself. So we basically have to treat our distributors like they are infants, okay? Literally like they're babies, like put them in a high chair and you have to baby them a little bit. And I know some of you hate this, but you gotta baby your team. You gotta baby your distributors a little bit. And I know some of you will disagree, but please just hear me out, okay? So number 1, I'll come back to number 1 in a second. So you're gonna brainstorm these activities. For everyone, it's gonna be different, and I'm gonna give you some prompts at the end to help you brainstorm. But when you're talking about stage 1, okay, because that's gonna be your 98%. Your 98% is gonna do your stage 1, stage 2, kind of moving on a little bit. Your top 2%ers are gonna be like your people who earn trips, earn cars, get on stage recognition, train at conferences. Those are like your top 2% that get into those like 7, 8, and 9, 10. Like people might not think trips are duplicatable, but it's like we had like 10 this year or something ridiculous. So it's like it duplicates, but it duplicates very, very small. Okay. So don't think of it as not being duplicatable. It is, but we're talking about levels of duplication. Okay. Victoria said you're good with babies, but babying your team it's hard. Babying your team is hard, but hear me out. Okay. So you're going to write down these different levels of things, and I'm going to prompt you for that at the end. I promise I'll get there. But with all of these levels, 1 through 10, you're going to write down different, and it's not just like 10 different things. It's like you might have 30 for level 1. Okay. Where you're going to move on. For all of these, what you are going to do to actually make these things duplicate, how do we actually make them duplicate? Okay. Number 1 is you have to lead by example. And I know a lot of you are like, well, duh, speed of the leader, speed of the team. No, I'm not talking about leading by example on level 10 activities. That's what a lot of you are doing. You're leading by example on like Ruby Senna sales. That's not going to duplicate. Okay. So I want you to do it, but I want you to understand that that's like a level 7 activity that's going to duplicate with your level 7s. And there aren't a lot of those. So you need to also be duplicating the stage 1 activity. So why do you think I do my skincare every day and post it in my stories? You probably think that's for my customers. It's not. It's because I want my team to see me use my skincare every day for my customers, because then they go, oh, I should use my skincare every day and I should tell my customers. It's not for my customers, it's for my team. And so that my team sees me do it every single day because they watch me, because I'm friends with them, which ties into everything else that we've talked about. So I do my skincare every day in my stories because I'm not good at duplicating makeup. I know this, but I do it every day. So they do it every day. It's a stage 1 activity. It's very simple. You don't have to look cute. You don't have to be a makeup artist. I do my skincare every day with a little simple video that I prop in front of me. Stage 1, I mean, the video part is higher, but doing the skincare every day duplicates within my team. And now a ton of them also do the stories, which is more of probably like a stage 3 activity. Okay. Does that make sense? So I remind my team every day to use their skincare. So anyway, my point of all that is to tell you, 1, lead by example. So when you lead by example and be as consistently as humanly possible with whatever your stage 1 activity is, for me, it is using the product, because I know that if I use the product every single day, my team might use the product sometimes, and then their customers will use the products because they are. So I know that consistency builds, and the belief in the product is where everything starts. Okay. But your stage 1 activity, whichever one you decide to like really become your core, like what is the core, then you want to do it consistently as humanly possible and publicly as humanly possible. And so with me, like I said, it's the skincare, but I'm going to use another example so you can understand how this can work. If you want your team to say, copy and paste a drip campaign, and you want that to be your stage 1 activity, everybody just copies and pastes the same posts or whatever, are you using those posts? Because if you want that to be a stage 1 activity, but then you're using totally different posts, that's going to send mixed messages. So you have to understand that you have to be committed to whatever that core activity is. Because if you're saying this is a really good drip campaign, but it's not good enough for me, then that's going to send the mixed messages. So again, you don't have to I'm not saying you have to copy and paste a drip campaign. I just want you to understand how this, depending on what stage 1 activities you come up with that are your most important, you want to do them too, and you want to do them publicly, because then your team sees you doing whatever this core activity is. Okay. So your stage 1 activities, you want to lead by example. You want to, number 2 is you have to have belief in this activity. Not just do it, but believe it. You have to be the ambassador for this activity. You have to be the biggest believer of anyone on your team that this activity works. So if you believe that drip campaigns work, you better be using drip campaigns. If you believe parties work, you better be doing parties. If you believe Visly works, you should be doing Visly. Whatever it is that you believe as your stage 1 core activity works, you have to do it, and you have to believe in it, and you have to be the ambassador for it. Okay. And then number 3, I know you're going to hate this, I'm telling you, you're going to hate some of this stuff. We're almost done. is that you do have to handhold people a little bit. You got to handhold them. And I have lots of tips for handholding because I do a lot of handholding. You don't have to do as much as me, but you got to do a little bit, okay? So for example, again, I might, like, some of you might be mind blown at the fact that maybe 40% of your team uses the products, okay? That might be mind blowing. So how do we fix this? How do we get more people to use the products? Well, for one thing, when you get a brand new distributor and she gets her kit, again, giving a little hand holding, giving her a little assignment, you know, why don't you make a post and have them vote which color you wear tomorrow? And then you make sure that she wears that color tomorrow. And you say the next day, why don't you make another post and see which color you should wear now? So you're kind of hand holding, making sure that she wears lip sense 3 days in a row and wears all 3 of those different colors. Does that make sense? So you're giving a little hand holding. It's kind of D too. It's S, but it's a little D, you know. And for C, it's strategy. For I, you could say it's fun, you know, whatever. But you're hand holding them through whatever this process is. If it's a drip campaign, we love drip campaigns, by the way. I'm obsessed with drip campaigns. Then not just saying, hey, go to our content bank and pick a drip campaign. Say, hey, we just finished your party, or since we just finished your party, why don't you use this drip campaign for week 1? And then you tell her exactly which one to use for week 1. Or, hey, here's the posts for tomorrow. Like, you make it so simple that she baby steps into those higher levels of activities, but you make sure to set the standard from the very beginning what those level 1 core activities look like. And when you build that with your new people, it gets ingrained into your culture. But another way to ingrain it into your culture, of course, is in my favorite way, which is challenges. That's my favorite way to do it. And so, like, with using your products every day, I do lots of challenges that are like, we're going to do our makeup for 7 days straight, or we're going to wear lip sense for 30 days, or we're going to post our skincare on our stories for 20 days. It's intentional. 20. Why did I say 20? That's so random. But it's all very intentional because, again, my core belief is that we need to use the products every day. And when I do those challenges, it's only like 10%. It's only my good soldiers and my top 2%, but it trickles down and it builds a culture of people who use the products. And so all of these things all kind of tie in together, okay? And so the last thing that I want you to understand about even this, even if you are just the absolute best at challenges, incentives, coming up with whatever these core activities are going to be for your team, you are literally amazing if even 25% of people will listen to you. If 25% of people will take action, 25% of people will like complete challenges, you are literally amazing. Just understand that the average is like 10%. It's seriously like 10%. They're going to like participate in a challenge or participate in anything, literally anything, even a stage 1 activity. 10% is average. So if you can get 20 to 25% of people participating in something, you have influence with your team, and that is something that's really special. Okay. But you're not, hear me, you are not going to worry or feel badly or make them feel badly the 75% that don't, the 90% that don't. We don't make them feel badly. They're tourists. It's okay. We don't yell at the tourists for not being residents. We just say, okay, have fun. Okay, you're here to party. Go for it. Like, whatever you want to do. If you decide to move here, let us know. We're going to help you. But like, we don't yell at them. We don't feel badly about them. We don't make them feel bad. We focus on the people who show up. We focus on the 10% that do the challenges. We focus on if we can get to 25%, make it a challenge for yourself. See if you can get from 10% of activity to 25%. I love to make things measurable. Sorry, guys, but it's true. And so see if you can get that higher level of activity, but remember that 2% drives your team. I'll kind of leave you with this, my own little Morgan brain, is that every single challenge that I do, I think my team knows this, every single challenge, all of them, I'm paying attention. I'm paying attention to who's showing up and who's showing out. Who's showing up what I call front row. You can be front row even online. I look to see who's actually like reacting to everything, who's commenting on everything, who's participating all 5 days in a row versus the first day and the last day. I watch those things and I know. And that's when I will swoop in, and this is an extra little bonus tip. that's when I'll swoop in and offer like a coaching call to someone I've never talked to before. Or I'll even send a friend request to someone that I've never talked to before. Even just a friend request can make people feel real good. Okay. So like I pay attention to who those kind of like up and comers are as far as the level of activity that they are willing to do. I will throw out like a level 6 activity sometimes just to see who will participate and see if anyone will surprise me. So I'm not saying that every single thing that you do on your team page has to be level 1, but most of the time it should be. We're making our challenges too hard. You're not going to have more people participate if the challenge is too hard. So we're talking the challenges on your team page need to be so simple that everybody does it if you want everybody to do it. But if you want your higher level people to do it, then make it a harder challenge, but just understand that less people are going to do it. Does that make sense? So like thinking about these things as you're creating anything, literally anything for your team, just be thinking about these things. Okay. So the questions I'm going to kind of leave you with to brainstorm for your levels for your team, everyone's going to be a little different, is simply, what do you want to duplicate? You don't have to answer this in the chat. You can just write it down. What do you want to duplicate? What activities do you want to duplicate on your team? And this will be level 1 to level 10. So of course I want to duplicate more trip earners. Of course I want to duplicate more maidens. Of course, but I also want to duplicate more people that just do challenges. I want to duplicate more people that do drip campaigns. I want to duplicate more people that show up to Zoom calls. There's lots of things that I want to duplicate. Okay, so what do you want to duplicate? What activities would you like to improve your numbers with? So thinking about where your team is at right now, how many people show up to Zoom calls? And then thinking, how many people would I like to show up to Zoom calls? And then you can connect those dots. How do I get from this many people to this many people? What can I do to make that happen? Okay. So what activities would you like to improve your numbers with? And what do you want to duplicate? I feel like there was a third question. Hold on, let me check really quick. I have like notes on my... Does anybody have any questions before we go? We're going to take a picture in just a second if you guys want to turn your cameras on. What are the activities you'd like to improve numbers with, and what do you want to duplicate? No, those are the only 2 questions. Okay, cool. Okay, well, if you guys have any questions, you can drop them into the chat. Otherwise, let's take a picture really quick. That's a really good question, Shay, so we can talk about that. Let's take a picture just in case anyone needs to go. Okay, page 1, 3, 2, 1. Page 2, 3, 2, 1. Sorry, Lindsay, I saw you moving, so I was trying to pause. Okay, so how do I incentivize level 1 activity? Like I said, I do a lot of challenges. So for me, I'm very consistently doing challenges. If you want to write down another quote, like a Morgan quote, it's not really a Morgan quote. I probably got it from somewhere. My like mantra, basically, you know how everybody kind of, not everybody, you know how a lot of people set their intentions for the day, like for themselves, like some people like journal or have like a start today journal or whatever, they set their intentions for the day. My day, every single day, I think to myself, what do I want my team to do today that they wouldn't do if I didn't show up? What is my team doing today that they're only doing because I chose to show up? So every single day, I think that to myself. I think, what do I want my team to do today that they probably wouldn't do unless I asked them to? And so I show up every day with something. So usually, like literally almost every single day, I'm throwing stuff out of my team. They know I'm super random, but it's like, I'll be like, hey, let's all post selfies today, or hey, let's do wow videos today. Like I do stuff like that because I want to keep them moving. I want to keep those 98%ers moving. My 2%ers are planned out for 2 months. They know what they're doing. Some of them are probably like, no, I'm not. But like my 2%ers are great. They're good. They don't need me to tell them to post a selfie, but my 98%ers do. Just sell one thing. Britta knows. Literally just 2 days ago, I posted pop-up challenge. Who can sell one thing today? Guess what? A lot of people probably weren't focusing on getting one sale. They were probably just trying to get their posts up. A lot of people just kind of go through the day like, la da 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 da. So I did a little pop-up challenge for them to sell one thing. That was their focus, one. So that's still a higher level activity to even be able to sell one thing. But let me tell you about, I don't even know, I think like 70 of them did it. That's huge. 70 people who sold one thing, and who knows how many of them would have sold one thing if I didn't simply make a post that said, can you sell one thing today? And so I do these little pop-up challenges consistently. I do bigger challenges consistently. I incentivize people to show up on my Zooms sometimes, not all the time, but I'll do little like a pop-up of if we can get 80 people on today's Zoom, I'll do a giveaway. Like I do little things like that. But another thing to understand, Shay, is that I'm very focused on the specific things I want people to do. So even though my challenges are shiny and different, and you guys know I'm constantly coming up with new ideas, it's still always focused on either like using the products. Actually, if you guys want to know, one of my core beliefs for building a business is posting selfies. So I believe like if you can post selfies, you can build a business. That's like one of my most simple core beliefs. And so I try to get them to post selfies because I'm telling you, 75% of women just don't even want to post selfies. They're terrified. And so I will incentivize people just to post a photo. Core one, basic level activity, but a lot of people will not do it. So I incentivize that consistently. And not just, I'm giving you guys a lot of information. I promise we're going to wrap up in 5 minutes. But not just even to their customer group. Here's another little tip. I try to get them comfortable on the team page first. Can I get them to post a selfie in the comments just to tell me who they are? So I do a welcome post almost every single month on my team page. That's like, hey, I'm Morgan. If you're new here, drop a selfie. Tell me where you're from. And I just see who will post a selfie. It's intentional. I'm trying to see who is new that will post a selfie and who will post a selfie because I asked them to. Does that make sense? So it's all like every move. I'm just like, who can I get to post selfies? Who can I get to use the products? Who can I get to do these like basic level activities? Because another one of my beliefs is this like baby stepping idea of if I can get them to post a selfie, can I get them to go live? And if I can get them to go live, can I get them to ask for parties? Like it all kind of goes together, but I don't jump to a big activity. I start with the smaller activities and I see how much I can build them up from there. So I think a lot of people look for these runners who just like get right into your guides or right into your, like, I have like literally 100 guides on my team page, not guides, but like 100 different trainings, whatever, that are in guides. Okay. 100 literally. Anyone could learn anything. Anyone could build an entire business just looking at the guides on my team page. And then I also have a back to basics. Oh my gosh. I have a new distributor basics group that any new distributor could join and build a business. And yet I still do a back to basics week on my team page because I know that a level 1 activity is not join a group and read 15 posts. A level 1 activity is, can you click on this live video that starts at noon? There's a difference. There's literally a difference between having to go through like 15 posts or even find post 1 than to just click on a live video and watch it. And so I try to like literally make things so much easier. And yes, launches are terrifying. Actually launching people, that is way higher than a stage 1 activity. And so here's another challenge for you to think about. I'm way too chatty tonight. Another challenge for you to think about is how can you take something that's big and scary? This is something that I think that I'm good at. I don't know, but I think I'm good at. How do you take something that's really big and really scary and instead turn it into multiple stage 1 activities? Does that make sense? It makes it harder for you as a leader, but it makes your retention higher and it makes your girls take these baby steps. Okay. So like with my launching, everyone asks me, how do you get your new launches to go live? I can't get any of my new launches to go live. First, I get them to post a selfie with an intro. And then I get them to add their friends. And then I ask them to go live. And because I asked them to do those 2 other things first, it makes it easier for me to ask them that third thing. But it's like I'm literally giving them these little steps. I am giving them. I'm not having them scroll through a group and go, oh, I got to do a welcome post. Cool. Oh, I got to invite people. Cool. Oh, I got to go live. Nope. Skipping that one, going to step 4. It's like, no, I'm literally not doing the 4th step until you've done the 3rd step because I'm helping you baby step through your launch. Does that make sense? You're doing collabs. I think that's awesome. Kristen, I think that's so awesome. Okay, so I will stop this recording because this is so long. Where's my record button? There it is.